Welcome to this workshop of how to build vision data agents with tools, skills, and MCP. And who is this workshop for? If you are working with agents, if you are working with MCP, you are creating your own skills, you have an agent in your configuration, or if you are working with computer vision pipelines or physical AI, this is the perfect place to be because we are going to go from the full pipeline when you are creating models, and I'm going to show you how you can use agents to make it easier and make it better as well. Small disclosure, I don't know all the configurations. I am always trying to move as fast as possible with all of these changes. And I would like to share some of the things that we have been learning in the latest years. And of course, setups, workflows, tricks, everything. And before continue, just like a quiz icebreaker, just 1 minute. In the pipeline, in computer vision, if you can automate one computer vision task tomorrow, what will it be? For example, import a data set, or maybe annotate the data set, or maybe find bias in your data set, or maybe train the model. For you, maybe train the model is the more annoying, a most annoying thing. I would like to know what is this kind of problem that you feel that if tomorrow there is a solution, is gonna help you a lot. Okay, I can see here some response. Support for large ultra HD images. Nice, pretty nice. Label images, training in some specific cases, nice. Data annotation, pre-processing, radar, LiDAR, and multimodalities. That's nice. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Actually, we are going to explore some of these things. And as you, multiple developers around the world spend 39 of the time when you are working in a model, when you say, I would like to create this, I don't know, object detection algorithm, I would like to do this task, the machine learning teams spend 39% just handle the data, like doing pre-processing, finding bias, improving the quality. Like they spend 39% of the time doing all of these configurations. And sometimes it's very annoying because you have to use CSV files, you have to create maybe a collab where you run all the pre-processing, you have to have multiple folders, and then you want to train a model in TensorFlow and you need TF records, now you need to convert everything. Like sometimes it's very complicated. And the bad thing about that is like we did a very interesting exercise asking more than 700 people about what is like what they think if they think that the model underperformed. And the answer was yes. Like everyone know that there is like a big gap in the data pre-processing, all of the annotation, curation, evaluation. There is like a big gap there. And the people say that is because sometimes they don't have enough data. Sometimes the quality of the data is not good. They have occlusions, lighting, artifacts. That's not good. Or sometimes it's about domain shift. That is like you train your model with a data set, then you put it in production and you realize that it's completely different. And there are more. Like what we found here is like there is a big gap in just like before you train the model, like all the process that are before you train the model. And this is what we are going to explore today. I didn't introduce myself, but I'm going to do it today, now. I am Alon, or Adonai. I am a ML engineering working in the DevRel team at Voxel 51. Thank you again for being here, and we are going to show you some demos. We are going to explore three main goals. The first one is going to be, because we are talking about data, like one of the first and most important thing is the approach of a data-centric AI. Then we are going to talk about vision data agents, that I think is one of the most exciting parts, like how you can build your own agent, how you can use agents, what are the building blocks when you are working with agents. We are going to have a hands-on where I'm going to show you how this works in production and how you can start to use all of these pipelines directly. Um, Small stop, like if you have a question, remember the QA is for you. You can ask, and I'm gonna be super happy to answer all the questions. Let's start with the basics because I feel that right now with all the physical AI information, everyone is talking about a radar, LiDAR, images, videos, text, like multimodalities. But at the end, everything comes back to the idea of data. Like you can have the best model, you can train your model, but you put it in production and bam, you start to find issues. You start to find missing cases. You start to find that maybe your model it's good in the training, but then in production fails. And this is normal because we are not putting the data as the center of everything. And in this talk that we're going to talk about agents, we believe that if you use bad data, you are going to get bad if you put bad data in the input, you're going to get bad models or bad results. It's extremely simple if you think it. If you have a good quality data, you can iterate with hundreds of models and then you can start to find the one that works more for you. And the idea that we are going to propose, and this is going to be super fast because we are going to move to the fun part, it's related to how you can fix your data, how you can make that your data has like a data-centric approach. Usually you collect data, train a model, deploy the model, and then you find that maybe there are some cases that the model doesn't work. What we would like to do here is you collect data, you analyze this data, we are going to do it now. We do all of the pipelines and painful things that you mentioned that you are having, and then we find cases, we fix the data set, and then we go to train the model and have like a safe deployment. That is like the main goal here. Cool. Just to double check, can you see my screen? Everything good? If someone can say yes, because I just see the base of CP. Okay, perfect. How we are gonna do that? And amazing because I can see that you are like right now hearing everything right. How we are going to do that? We are going to use 51. And 51 is the full pipeline from import the data set, annotate the data set, curate, evaluate, try multiple models, come back again, improve your data set, annotate again. Like you can do all the pipeline directly there, and it's extremely powerful. And as well, we support, of course, multimodalities. We support, thank you for the bueno. We support images, video, 3D data, multi-views, geolocations, uh, like extra high quality images. We support in some cases as well audio, like you can convert audio to images. We can process multiple kind of data in just one place. And this become like the tool that you can use for all the pipelines. But now that we understand that we have like these models and this platform that is 51, and that we would like to do it with a data-centric approach, where we put the data as the center of everything and we create all of these models around that, I would like to talk to you about the most important thing right now, that is vision data agents. And what is a vision data agents? And let me just show you in a video. Remember that if you have questions, you can use the QA, and I am more than happy to answer all the questions. But what you are seeing here is the agent. An agent could be your agent, could be any agent, working in the data set directly, working in the 51 infrastructure and doing task. What kind of task? The first one that I just showed you, it's tell me about my data set. Very simple, like how many classes do I have? How many type of label do I have? How many, like if I have segmentation, if I have object detection, what kind of data do I have available? And the model is able to get and call multiple MCP tools, go to the 51 environment, make the call, get all the information, and retrieve all of this to give you the information to you. As well, you can run things like find compute embeddings, or find similarity between images, or apply blurriness, like all of the pipeline that we support. We create this agent to be able to automate it. And this is what I want to show you today, like how we build that. What is the pieces that we have to do to build this system, to get you the idea of how you can replicate it, and as well, most important one, how you can use it in your daily. I am gonna start to answer some of the questions that I'm seeing here. Please use the QI, but I'm gonna answer this one. Yes, we support handwriting as well. You can update your invoice. You can update multiple kind of data that you have with images. We can process that information. If you have, for example, a data set that contains the invoice with the bonding box, with the text, and you want to work with this data set, you can do it in 51, 100%. Cool. Okay, now that we understand that we have to have a data-centric AI approach, and as well that 51 can allow you to do that, and as well that you can integrate an agent. We just saw the agent. Let me tell you what this agent contains, because it's not like I connect ChatGPT, that's all. You have to create a full sandbox of what we call a MCP client, that the system can have all the protection and all the quality to be able that your users actually can use that with feeling that it's not gonna break anything, it's not gonna remove your data set, it's gonna do a good thing. And some of the components that we have here, it's first, of course, LLMs. We are gonna have multiple LLMs. We believe, and I believe that the real challenge is not, like for me at least, or for us in Boxer 51, it's not about build the best model, it's build the infrastructure that can use multiple tools and of course bring the response that the user is expecting. That's why here, instead of provide a specific agent, we allow the users to use any agent. If you love Anthropic, if you love OpenAI, if you love Gemini, uh, you can use that MCP. Yeah, I'd say MCP. You can use that to connect to your agents. This is one of the first and most important components. You can create your own. You can use your own agent, and I'm gonna show you in 1 second what that's mean. Second, skills, very powerful skills. I'm gonna explain in the next slide, but it's gonna allow you to bring the context to the agent or the domain knowledge to the agent to be able to do tasks. I'm gonna show you what is the skills in just one slide, and then I'm gonna show you how you can create your own skills. Then, because our system is talking with people, it's iterating with people, with customers, we would like to integrate memory. That's why if you are working with agents, the memory is going to allow the agent to actually find some cases, some examples, some information when they are having discussions with the people that they can save in a file and then reuse in some cases. It's extremely important to have memory to the agent because they can start to get some of the tricks that you can use in your daily. So memory is extremely important. This could be like a markdown file. This could be a rack system in a data set. This could be like in multiple ways, but it's extremely important to use the memory as a component in the agent. Then we have observability. I'm gonna go to the evaluators later, but observability is like you create the model is working, and then you start to find that maybe it's not working correctly or it's doing bad things. If you start to integrate observability tools from day one, that is gonna help that when you find an issue or when your enterprise companies say like this is not working, you can actually try to help them to find what is happening. Because as you can see here, there are multiple components. There are LLMs, there are guardrails, there are skills, there are MCP tools, there are multiple things, and it's hard to know what specific thing is failing. Observability, that I'm gonna show you how you can do that, it's gonna help you to integrate this component as well and read what is happening with your system. Then we have guardrails, and you say guardrails, that is not that relevant, but for me it's like the number one important thing. You decide what tools you can bring to your agents, but you have to be able to bring the security that this is not gonna break something. That's why we define some guardrails that I'm gonna show you in a bit, and these guardrails is gonna allow you to the agent can do some tasks, but maybe if they're gonna try to do something that is not good, they're gonna ask the user as a mandatory step, and then that's gonna bring the security that at least is asking before doing any change or before access any data set. We have permissions. The context important because it's how you connect the platform to the agent, and then evaluation that I'm gonna talk at the end. In the meantime, I'm gonna start to answer some questions that I have here. The first one is, are you using SQL database for memory? The short answer is confidentiality, but in general, it's a good way to do it. Like you can use any data set to be able to save in memory, and then you can use maybe a rack system or something that can help you to retrieve the information in a dynamic way. What I recommend you is like, don't start with a super complexity structure of memory. Start with something very simple that is safe in memory, and then retrieve the full file as a markdown file. Very simple, you just save the memory in a file and then you can retrieve it. Now, if you're thinking scalability, of course, that is not scalable. You are sending a file for each of the requests, but you can then jump to things like you mentioned, like maybe we can add a SQL data set where I can retrieve, or maybe a Mongo data set that I can just get some information based on similarity scores, all of these things. And another question is, guardrails are not included in the skills. I love this question, and the short answer is not completely included. Like you can create a skill that say, if you have this case, always ask the user, and you can add this in the Markdown file. But this is not going to. This is like an instruction for the agent. The agent can just ignore that, or maybe can have a conversation, and then the context of this rule is gonna be just ignored. For us, the guardrails has to be something that is in code. Like it's something that the agent cannot bypass, cannot like just ignore it and do other stuff. Has to be something that is mandatory that they always ask. Because if no, maybe they are gonna read the skills, they are gonna say, oh, don't remove any data set. Cool. But then they start to have a conversation, the context now is full, they lose the skill context, and when you do like remove the data set, maybe they don't see that context and just do the action. That's why it's an extremely good question. You have, from my perspective, you have to have the guardrails as a mandatory code step to avoid that the user can break your code. Cool. Let me just show you this in real time. I think it's fun to do demo in real time. This is 51. This is our enterprise. This is our 51 agent, and the one that I am showing you today and that I am explaining. Okay. What we have here, we have the agent, we have the skills. We mentioned the skills before. I'm gonna explain you what is the skills for the people that maybe is not working with the skills, but these Markdown files doesn't have any crazy, it's just Markdown files, but has the most powerful thing that we can provide to an agent, that is the knowledge, like how you can do the things in the best possible way. This is very powerful. You have multiple skills and you can create your own skills. Then I mentioned before that we have the option to integrate agents. That is good. We can integrate any provider. You can write any my provider. You can select any of the model that you have. Maybe you have this in Bedrock. Maybe you have any kind of provider. If you have the model in local, or if you have an API or an endpoint that you use because your company asks you to use just that one, you can as well define a specific endpoint. You can allow multiple models. I'm just gonna write here Anthropic as an example. You can allow multiple models, including the latest one. You can integrate your custom models. Let's say that you train your model and you want to see that model working in your data set, you can do that. You can add headers that I think is nice, and it was a case that happens in real time, that in real life, that was a user want to send some information, like a specific information to the agent, because they have an API that maybe use that information to do something, or maybe just to save metrics. You can add as well headers in the request and integrate your own and specific provider. Now, I'm just gonna click any like a skill like this one. But the idea that you can ask, like you can write the agent. I show you the video and I have more, but just to give you something in real time, I can do something like use the 51 data distribution skills. And what the system start to do is first it called skills. As I said before, don't worry, I'm gonna explain what is the skill, what is MCP. I'm just gonna show you how this works in live. But it's gonna call a specific skill, a very powerful one. Then it's gonna start to get all the information of what is happening, like what is the schema of this data set, how many values do they have, start to count, for example, the label ground truth, it's going to start to do multiple calls to be able to get all the information. For now, it's found that there is 71 classes. It's found that there is like top classes like person, carrot, car. This is for an object detection, but this works with any data set. It tells us that there is like a validation tag. There is some metadata relevant here, like the size of the images. And they start to create all of these MCP calls to be able to get all the information of the data set, and as well to find what is the median, what is the median, like all the information as well, like like the what we call like the like all the information about the data set. It's doing all of these calls to get this. Now, do we have to show this? For now, we are showing this, but of course, we can just create like a system that just show you that it's doing something. But what I want to show you here is like all the thing that the system is doing to be able to bring all the information that you need in your system. In the meantime, this is running. I just want to answer one more question here. I just saw. Okay, Kennedy asked, I talk about building a sandbox. In that case, would guardrails be so crucial? And how do you hard code guardrails? Amazing question. Okay, I feel that building building a sandbox, it's different of what I'm showing right now, because the sandbox is gonna create like this safe environment where the agent can break things and do like make mistakes, maybe break something, remove something. But because you have this in a sandbox, you can be like safe because the model is not gonna break your real code. So why build a sandbox? It's extremely important. Why? One reason, the agent can make mistakes and you are safe. That's the main reason. The agent can call things, can remove stuff, can make mistakes. This is what, when you use an agent in local, this is what happened. They start to do multiple tasks, then they realize that this is not correct, they fix it, they change it, they improve it, and at the end, they show you the response. This is good. This is good, and guardrails, and sandbox are extremely important. However, let's say that the model was able to do the task in the sandbox, and then you want to move it to the production environment. I feel that you still have to have guardrails there. Because yeah, maybe it was like a good iteration and learn a lot and create a skill, or maybe create a plugin, but then if the agent make a mistake in production, that's gonna be money. Let's say that we have a data set with 5 million images or 5 million videos, and the agent decide to run inference or decide to train a model without your permission. What is gonna happen is it's gonna spend like just in like the amount of training data, the amount of GPUs, because the model think that was the correct path. This is funny because I don't know what is happening there. It's part of the demo in real time, but it's fine. But yeah, the guardrails have to be as well there in your environment. And the guardrail is like, it's not hard coded. Maybe I use that word, but don't think that is just hard code. Always as the user, what we do that I think is very important is we create like the label of complexity, or the label of like how dangerous is this action, and depends of the action. For example, they are able to call all of these things. I don't know why it's taking too much time, but let me just put something instead of start. It's getting all the brightness and all the information, but it's like in a loop, but it's fine. Instead of, it's gonna start to, how many files do we have? But I think it's fine. But instead of just start to ask everything to the user, it's going to ask depends of the level of complexity, and then you can have like a guardrail that if the complexity is high, or if this action could be dangerous, ask always the user. Let me just doing this again because I think it's not gonna do it correctly. Let me just click here and do it again. And this is part of, this is a perfect example because this is real time and it's fun to see it doing all of these things. But yeah, it's trying to do multiple tasks. It's trying to get all the information and then go to a loop that you can just stop. And this is part of something that happened as well. And here I have 4.6, like it was just in a loop. But yeah, this is a really good question. Thank you for asking. Sandbox, I feel that is pretty important, but guardrails, it's important to keep it. In the meantime, this is running. I'm just gonna continue and then I'm gonna come back here to start to ask to tell you more about the structure. Okay. So far, we talk about the importance of data-centric AI. Then we move to 51 agent, like as an example of LLM skills, observability, guardrails, all the component that has to have your model. And you can see it in live. And I'm going to show you other examples, but you can see how the model is iterating with your data set. Then I would like to explain you some of these main components that are extremely important here. And I'm going to start with the skills. Many of you already know skills. Maybe you use it in the daily, like just working with your data set. But skills in general, and this is a slide that I got from Don, very nice one. The skills are just markdown files. They don't have any code. You can have code examples, yes, but the idea of the skill is not like compute or do some computation. It's more about bring the context to the agent, where the agent can know what is the best way to do the steps. And why this is so powerful is because today the hardest part is not the agent stuff, it's the agent doing the stuff using the less amount of tokens, and as well using the less amount of tools as well, and time, and all of these variables. So why the skills, things in the skill, like a way that you bring all the instructions that the agent has to do to be able to do a task. Multiple people ask me, what is the difference between skills and agents markdown file? And this is the perfect example. We have in the agent markdown file rules, the agents markdown file go always to the configuration. That means that you can say things like before answer a question or before answer something, do X or Y thing. And you can add this like a rule that the agent is going to use always. But the skills, it's more about the process, the best practices, the performance. Like it's helping you to actually do the thing in the best possible way. I feel that the skills has to be built from people that it's creating the system. It has experience, it has the domain, it know how it works, because that is gonna save time to the agent. And this is important because it's part of how this works, and it's if the skill is a markdown file that is a text file, how the agent get all of this information. The skills, when we use the skills, we always share the name and the description. We always share these two variables. And the system, like the LLM, decide when do they have to use each of these skills. And if they decided to use one specific skills, just in that time, they are going to go and read the full skill. But it's going to be just when they decided that this skill can help you to the process, just in that time. That means that you don't have to put all the skills in your system, and in the context, you just use in a smart way the skills that are aligned of what the user is trying to do, like a retrieval task. Like you want to do that, let me check what do I have available. I have this one, let's use it, and let's call it. This is a slide, this is an image from Anthropic that was one of them, like the company that pushed more the idea of skills, but right now you can use it with any agent. Now, if there is any question, I'm more than happy to answer, but now we talk about skills. Now I would like to talk about MCP. And multiple people ask me, why don't integrate CLI instead of MCP? And what MCP give you, it's control. Because you define what is the input, you define what is the output, and you define the context inside the MCP. That's all. Like you decide, like, I just want to give to the agent a tool to get information about my data set. Like the one that they call here, that finally I finished, this is a MCP call that go and call something that the agent, because the structure of the MCP, know what is the input and they return the output. This is a specific MCP tool. And of course, you can create many MCP tools to iterate with your system. All of these one are MCP tools. It's trying to get the mean and the uniqueness. It's trying to get some information, brightness, and more. But this is trying to get information about the data set in a standard way. Just to summarize, you have input, you have output, and you put like the context of when do they have to use these specific skills. I'm gonna come back here later, but in the meantime, this is very important. In 51 tools, and you can access, Burhan shared the GitHub, you can use the MCP tools to do these calls. But as I said before, multiple people ask, why you don't bring CLI? The agent can actually read and can actually just use the CLI to create something. Like if I say import a data set, I can create a tool that import a data set and put it there, but I can just leave it open, bring the CLI to the agent, and the agent can create the code to actually do the task like import a data set. They can write Python code or any code to be able to do the task. What is the difference? And I think it's extremely important. The difference is that in the CLI, you are like giving the keys of the house to your agent. That means that they can write any code. Like they can just say, if you want to do this task, you can create this code, and then they're going to be able to create it and execute it. This is dangerous for enterprise. Like for people that has super big data set, this is dangerous. With MCP, you control that. That's the difference. CLI, you bring the tools, they can create code, they can create MCP or tools in general, and they can do all of this. With MCP, the difference of MCP tools, in this case, you define what are the tools that you have to provide to the agent. Now, there was like a really good question that they asked about the difference, like sandbox and guardrails. Something that you can do is like you can create a sandbox, you can put the agent there, you can put an instance of 51 or any other library, super powerful, and then you can bring CLI. Because it's in the sandbox, the agent can create code and can do stuff and can iterate. But because it's in a sandbox, this is a good approach. Then when you found the solution, you can just get the solution, convert that CLI function, the function that they create, and create a new MCP tool. And you can iterate with these kind of things. Can I use PA Wi-Fi in skills instead of MCP? Short answer, yes, you can. But as I said before, like you can have an skills and you can have some assets, you can have some tools, and they can use the Python code or the P Wi-Fi and something. Yes, you can. Story as before. If you have a skill that can read a POA file and that can execute that code, you are putting like permission to the to create code. And for me, I feel that in enterprise, that's dangerous for now. Like if you have a sandbox, cool. But if you are putting this model in your real data set, careful with that. Good question, Ibis. Okay, let me just go here again to the sample that I showed you before, because it's pretty interesting. Just one comment at the beginning was doing multiple stuff, but I think it's fine. It was able to open, that means that it's iterating with your system. It's able to give you all the information, like what is happening. It's able to give you ground truth information as well. It's able to give you, like if you have an imbalanced data set, percent are person and the other one are like not too many. You can see the prediction as well. You can see, like, because there was like a model evaluation there, the agent is able to get how good is the model in this case. It gives you tags, it gives you information about quality metrics. It shows you all the information. And this is part, like, as I said before, we would like to make it easier for the people to know what is happening with the data. You don't have to be an expert in machine learning. You have to be like multiple PhD. Like if you know how is the business model and you have tools like this one, you can close the gap and actually make that the agent can help you in this process. And I think it's super nice. Let me just come back here just to see if there is any question. Okay, we are good. We have 10 minutes more. Let me just go and then I am answering questions, but I'm more than happy to answer more questions. You can do all the things that you think. Like you can do exploration, as I showed you before. You can do data quality. You can enrich your data set like computer embeddings. You can just ask, and this is powered by Kappa. You can just ask the system of how can I do a task in the SDK, and the agent can give you the way to do it. And as you can see here, in some cases, it's asking the user. Let me just see if they ask here. I think they ask here. Oh, this is perfect. This is the example I'm going to show you. We discussed about guardrails. The agent asks you here, just put this here. The agent asks you in this question here, okay, review and run. I'm not gonna run everything without permission. Let's review it and run it. And then if you say yes, that is gonna generate a job that is gonna run in a server, and then it's gonna give you the response. This is part of what is happening here. Cool. Welcome to the world of agents. Yes. How many agents are here? Right now, this is 4 tasks, independent tasks. Right now, we are having just 1 agent. And I love this question because it's what we are working right now. And it's right now we just have 1 agent. But actually what you can do is like you can have 1 agent, and then you can have sub agents that can help you to do the task independently. The reason why in the example that I showed you before, the system was just trying to do something is because we just have 1. But what we can do is we can get the task, and then we can run a sub agent that can run all the things in the background and then return with the response. Yeah. Cool. Let me go to create your own skills. I feel that this is the key here. You can have the agent, but the magic it's in the skills. And 5 tips about creating skills. Before going to skills, I'm just gonna answer. Okay, Burhan is answering that. That's perfect. Why skills? Why do we have skills? I showed you MCP, I showed you guardrails, I showed you all of these things, but why we have to only focus in skills? And the reason is there is nobody like in the world, in your work, the person that has more experience of how the business works is you. Like you know what you are expecting. You know the domain, like you know if you are creating a model to detect maybe an anomaly in a plant or in any object, you are the one that has the context and know how the model has to work, and you can use that context to create the skills. And one of the first tips that I think is extremely good one is try to go from your experience, like what are the steps that I'm gonna do if I have to do that, and then based on this skill, based on these steps, just put it in a file, do like a reverse engineering where you start to bring these tools and you start to see how the agent it's actually going step by step. For me, the skills, it's like the steps, like do this and then let's do this, or maybe you have 2 options here. If the user wants this, ask this specific question. Like you can play with the skills like a tree, but try to do it from the user perspective. They are never finished. Like you can create the best skills. And just today, like, let me just go to the previous conversation. That was this one. For me, these skills need works. It's one of the most, for me, simple one and most powerful. And I can show you in a bit how is the structure of this skill. But for me, these skills need works. Why? How is possible that calls 30 tools? Like it's too much. I know that the dataset maybe is big and has many information, but I feel that this could be improved. And it's fine. I am not changing the agent, I am changing the skills because I find something that is very aligned of what I am expecting. I am not expecting to make 30 calls. I am expecting to do maybe 5 or 6, give you context, and then if you want to continue, I can just show you more. Like it's more like a dynamic way. And I would like to see this in my platform. That's why you can change the skills. They are never finished. Don't hard code the skills. Like don't put it like use this function because at least you need to do it like exactly like that. But usually it's better if you bring some space to the agent to explore. Explore in the safe environment, not exploring in like with risk. But if you bring some space to your agent to explore. Simple example, I want to compute embeddings. If I say, if someone want to compute embeddings, always use clip, I am like just putting the agent to do one task. But if I say something in my skill, like if the user want to know more about the data set, one of the options is use embeddings because it can generate a different representation of the data, and then they can do other things like find similarity and other stuff. And I can say like not use clip, like not use like, but you can put it more generic, like ask the user if any of these models, 5 tree models like Siglip, Clip, Dino, like whatever model you want to put there, you are bringing this flexibility, and that's going to help that the agent is not hard code to do something and not getting good results. Okay, I'm gonna answer. Okay, Burhan is doing his magic. Thank you, Burhan. Safety needs human feedback. Very important. And one of the first questions that I answered, you can put in the skills, ask the user or validate with the user or any kind of mandatory step. It's in the skills. It doesn't mean that it's gonna do it 100%, but it's good that the agent know that they need human feedback. That is very important to add in the skills. And as this is the last one, it's similar to the number three. That is, sometimes the best skills is not about do these small steps. It's more about thanks to this you can do it's not flexible. It's more if you do this, you are going to understand more your data. You can apply similarity and more. Okay, there is one question before showing you some of the skills, and is there an agent that create more agents in 51 based on the user prompt? Today, we don't have multiple agents in the platform today, but you know that we are working every day and improve this. Today, the agent can do multiple tasks, but it's gonna be just one agent. In the future, we are gonna move to multiple agents doing multiple tasks. We are trying to get all the feedback from the people, but here it's more about how you can delegate skills that I think is very important. Let me just show you the structure of the skills. You can create your own skills. The skill is file name, description, and we add something that is not part of the format, that is category. We add this because we would like to help the people to actually have multiple options. We created this skill like 3 months ago. Maybe need some refinement, but it's pretty good. It contains like when we just use the agent and I say I want to import something, the agent only is gonna read this. This is the only input that is gonna receive, nothing more, just that. And then depends on the task, is gonna start to get all of these steps. And as you can see here, we have a description, a key directive with steps of how they have to do that. We include a workflow as well, like what is the step 1, step 2, step 3, some code or structures, some as well operators. And I am not providing the code, like the agent is not gonna execute the code, it's gonna read the structure of the code and it's gonna use that. That I think is extremely important. And then we have, depends on the skills, multiple examples. If you want to import with Hugging Face Hub, if you want to import only label, if you want to media only, that there are multiple configurations that we are providing, formats, trying to make it simple, common use cases. And the best, my recommendation is create the skills like a graph, test the skill in production, and then based on what the agent is doing, you can improve your skills. But there are better ways to do evaluations that I'm going to try to explore in the last 4 minutes. You can evaluate your skills. You can put the agent with skills and without the skills, and you can actually validate it if it's using less tokens, if it's using less tools, and all of these configurations. That is powerful. Cool. We just go to the last minutes here. That is evaluation. I'm gonna stop just 1 second here. I think we don't have any question. We have been answering all of them, but we start with the idea of curation. Like, let's put the data as the center of everything, like data-centric approach. Then we show that there are multiple painful things, like import the data set, like work with multiple data sets, like annotate the data set. You can use the agent to help you to do that. The agent is in your structure, it know how to do the things, and is able to do all of these tasks. Then we go and start to talk about the components. We talk about the skills, MCP, the difference between MCP and CLI. We talk about the good things about use guardrails, sandbox, very important, and I love that question. We explore all these things. And then we go to skills, how to create it, very simple markdown file. And now we would like to talk about how you can evaluate the skills. And the first recommendation is like you have to have um, the most important metrics for you. For us, it's one of the most important is task completion rate. What is this? If the agent is able to do the task, yes or no. Like if I want to input a data set, at the end, I can just go and see if my data set is there with all the samples. And if it's yes, and if it's there, yes, it works correctly. If no, it's not correctly. But as you know, agents are not only true or false. You have other things that you can evaluate. You have as well time to task, where the agent, you can measure how fast the system is able to do the task in time or in tokens. And this is important. You can evaluate if your agent is calling the tools correctly. Maybe your agent is not calling the skill, and there is an issue in the skills, in the description. You can fix that. And it's part of what you should evaluate. But the tip here is like try to define what are the most important metrics to you to answer, and then use and integrate that in the first stage of the model. For us was task completion rates, time to task, trigger rate, and we add a LLM as a judge. That is good. That is good way. Let me just answer one question here and then continue with the last slides. Can you explain how the plugin relate to skills? Can you convert your plugin to skills? I love that. And the short answer is yes. You can, right now what we are trying to do, and it's very powerful, is each of the plugins, for the people that is new in 51, for me, the most powerful thing that 51 has is the plugin framework. And what is the plugin framework? I told you about evaluation, curation, annotation. All of this is part of the pipeline. But if tomorrow you want to do something very specific, maybe you want to train a model, maybe you want to do a specific task, maybe you want to work with audio, or some tasks that maybe are not completely supported today, you can create a plugin. And because we have this plugin framework, you can create a JavaScript or a Python plugin and integrate it to the system. What we are doing today is like we are combining plugins with skills, and we are trying that all the new plugins has a skill that the agent can use to be able to use that plugin. If tomorrow you have a dashboard that you run every time you evaluate something, you can use a skill that know how to use that plugin and integrate these two in our platform. And it's very powerful. Cool. Cool. Thank you for the question. We are going to share the video. We are going to share everything. I am very happy that there are multiple questions. But yeah, here, like returning to the skills and just starting to closing everything. I just want to mention here we can evaluate the skills, but the reality, like, is the agent works good. Like you can test it, it's fine. But for me, the two main priorities and what we are working every day, it's evaluations. Because as John Donne say, you cannot evaluate skills as an independent thing, because no man is an island. That means you have to evaluate your system with all the components. You have to evaluate how your system works when they have MCP, when they have skills, when they have guardrails, when they have all the elements that contain a system, a complex system like this one. And this is important because you can evaluate with the skills. You can create the skills and ask cloud to use it or not use it, and then you can get information. But the reality is like how the system works with all the other tools. And we are working in an evaluation for the people that is working with 51 that is going to help you to improve the quality of your skills and as well your plugins, thanks to an evaluation with multiple models, and it's extremely dynamic. Able to do all of these tasks, integrate the agent from day one, and believe me that you are going to start to improve and spend less time doing tasks that maybe are painful, like I asked at the beginning, and use the agent to help you to do these tasks. Is going to be very powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very, very exciting. Thank you for being here, for stay the full time connected. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna my LinkedIn. Burhan, if you want as well, connect the LinkedIn. Thank you, Burhan, for your time. I'm gonna check if there is question, but I think Burhan did an amazing job like always. And yeah, I think there is not. Oh, you already answered that one. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I hope we can meet again in the future. I'm gonna share my LinkedIn if you want to connect, and as well connect to other people in the chat. That is awesome. And thank you. And I hope see you in the next meetup of Voxel 51. If you can share the link, it's gonna be better if you can. It's easier to connect. And if there is any question, I am still here, happy to answer them. Thank you. Today I am from Colombia. Today it's the Colombian match, and we are gonna see it, of course. Okay, guys, thank you so much, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.